Hey, everybody, off and running, kicking off a new week while simultaneously capping the month of July here at Gulfstream Park, which is it's just bananas. Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett alongside. The lights are on, Ronnie. We don't get many Wednesdays together, but I'm happy we've got 8 on the card.
Well, I wrote it down on my papers here, Wednesday, because I know I'm going to say Thursday a few times. We don't usually run on Wednesday, special day, 8-race card, as you mentioned, but rain yesterday, so off the turf. Well, actually, last night I heard off the turf.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice out now. I mean, sunny and clear, but no turf. We'll run 8 today on the main, as Ronnie said, and Florida's just that place where my wife, nephew, and I spent the entire day outside on the water paddleboarding. Blue skies, sun couldn't have been any nicer, and evidently over by you in Weston, it was like the end of the world.
End of the world, actually. Lightning hit by my house and blew out one of the TVs and one of the computers, so it was real close and real scary. And when you saw the weather, was just right over there. And as you mentioned, beautiful day here today. I'm sure we'll be back on the turf tomorrow if everything holds.
Absolutely. Back-to-back 9s, in fact, Thursday and Friday. And just a friendly reminder, looking ahead to that Twilight Friday card here, which will be the eve of that opening round of the Florida Sire Stakes this coming Friday, August the 2nd. Regular start time. We're back and reverting again to the 2:15, 2:20 start time. Good card, some solid turf racing on Friday.
Yeah, pretty good card. And, of course, we got the Eagles tribute band every Friday night. We got free music, 7 to 11 upstairs in the Sport of Kings. And they will be singing, I'm sure, the hotel, what is it, California. So I knew that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Eagles, when you think about it, they've had, I mean, some of the most iconic songs, I mean, as far as American rock goes of all time. And, boy, I think, you know, when you call up the most successful selling albums, you know, the Michael Jackson Thrillers and all that, I believe their greatest hits, the Eagles' greatest hits, is still #1 as far as selling, you know, the most units per se. But that'll be something to take hold of, no doubt, in the Sport of Kings here once the lights go down on Friday afternoon with that Twilight program. Meanwhile, we'll dive into the What's on Tap, and on this Fast and No Turf Racing Wednesday, I think it's a good thing as we start the card, Ronnie, and this new week on July 31st with a very classy horse in the first race in Fast Pass, who I'm sure will look around and say, great, I don't have to see Diamond Oops or Jalen Journey in the mix.
Yeah, that one's looks like the one to beat. We even got a scratch in there of a horse I know you had some interest in, Small Fortune, so makes Fast Pass even look a little better.
Absolutely. Now, better probably doesn't tell the tale as far as our Rainbow Six carryover, which has steadily built and built and built, and it has turned out to be a nice Wednesday, July 31st. You can even see in the background what a pretty track here at GP. Anyway, 360,000 give or take. Race number 3. That gets the distinction of being the Wednesday, July 31st opening leg in today's Rainbow Six. Easily over 400K. Who knows, maybe up at around 420, 450, right?
Yeah, you got a good shot to, you know, maybe take it down today. Got a couple of scratches on the card, so you can spread, and beauty of it, only a 20-cent wager.
Absolutely. Let's try to get lucky with that early pick 5, in which Fast Pass might not be, when it's all said and done, at about 120, 121 when they spring the latch of this first race field. He might not be that much higher than the current 2 to 5. Might even be 1 to 5 in the race for Peter Walder. We'll talk more about his chances and maybe his Achilles heel if you're looking at the full spectrum, because he is a very die-cast, deep closer. But I'm going to take him as the class of the field, and he'll anchor a $12 play for me that does have a good second race. I think there's plenty to recommend between 4 of the 7 that stayed in that field. The 4th race is pretty solid as well, Ronnie. I mean, Seismic Jolt, Archie is back, and Speed Franco. They're all 3-year-olds. They're all pretty good in their own right.
Well, Archie's background pretty good on the dirt. That was originally scheduled for the turf. I think those are the logical 3 in there. And Archie is back. Is one of the horses that's just waiting to make that next step over.
Definitely. No, it's a good segue into Fast Pass in the first race this afternoon for trainer Peter Walder and company, as I do feel the race we're about to show you, in hindsight, was the proverbial coming out party for Fast Pass. It took him a while to really find his groove after shipping here from California late last year. But Peter Walder, when he's got this horse right, I mean, this horse is capable of a monster close. And do keep in mind, fast pace or not, I mean, he's about to pick off and wear down and cut down about as tough an old campaigner you could find in South Florida, or anywhere for that matter, in Cautious Giant. Question is, does the pace, the lack of pace matter, or is he just too good in his current form?
Yeah, you mentioned the horse that I think that you were going to have on top of your ticket, Small Fortune. Yep. That was the major speed in there. So this horse, but you see races like this when you're dealing with a compact field, this horse will be closer to the pace today because I just think he can outclass him. I don't think he has to come from far back. Not that he's going to be on the lead, but I just think his class will hold on there. I use Dr. Harlan second and a Blind Ruckus in third, but boy, they're going to have to beat Fast Pass.
Yeah, I'd imagine Edgar Zayas is going to try to wire the field with no Small Fortune in the mix, who I had picked to pull off the minor upset. He's out, so Dr. Harlan may try to speed pop them at 7, but Fast Pass going great guns these days with Miguel Vasquez, and we do welcome back to Florida, that is, Amiseo Jaramillo riding the quote-unquote other Waldo horse in Dizzy Gillespie. How about Amiseo on that rocket ship he sat on in Chancelot, who won the Amsterdam?
Chancelot started its career here, won, and then just unbelievable performance. Won by, I don't know how many, 14 lengths, I'm guessing. I watched the stretch run. I couldn't believe it.
That was one of the most dominant, jaw-dropping performances I think I've ever seen a thoroughbred racehorse turn in. A 121 buyer for yet another wintertime Gulfstream Park graduate for trainer Jorge Navarro. Let's move on to the second, and I noted kind of a cursory note, if you will, but in talking about the early pick 5, I feel as though more than half of this field, between the likes of the 1 Cryogenic, the number 4 Pango, the 7 who I picked hoping he might just speed pop the field, and the 7 Our Boy Bodie, and the number 10 horse who drew in as an MTO, the 10 Color Me Pom Pom. There's enough going on with that quartet. I think it's a pretty good matchup where you could really find a few things to like with all 4 of those in the mix. You're going to take the number 4 Pango, who's a pretty good dirt horse. Yeah,
Dave, 9 for 12 in the money on the dirt. He moved to the Jose Gallegos barn after I just gave this horse the nod on the main track. I had originally picked Our Bodie Boy, the 7 for the turf, even though this one I didn't have Pango on my ticket at all for the turf. So just switched him around a little bit. Chirogenic and Color Me Pom Pom entered for the main track, ran into that buzzsaw that seems like we're mentioning a lot. Ice-T when finishing 6th behind him. I wasn't that enamored with that horse. I wanted to move him up further because he was entered just for the main track. I left him further down.
He looks a little, and I've got him higher rated or highly rated in this case, capping my exact, and certainly I have him at a greater spot than you do. He looks a little, I hear you, he looks a little wishy-washy where he doesn't have much speed, and he wasn't in good form prior to his last race, and was claimed, though, let's see, reclaimed by Angel Quiros. We will see, for what it's worth, 1st and 3, who was 3rd in that race against Ice-T, coming back as I think the favorite and horse to beat in the 8th and final race a bit later on this afternoon for trainer David Fox. I'll take Our Boy Bodie and Christian Torres to wire the field. We will take a little time out. We'll walk down memory lane before we come back with 3 rules, and Ronnie's Rainbow up next.
And the Princess Rudy with a quarter-mile left to go. 4 off the top of the turn. Race for the Kathleen O'Connell barn in front by 5 with just an 1/8 of a mile to go. And she's turning in this into a runaway. The powerhouse performance. She punches her ticket to the Breeders' Cup and wins by 5. Awesome Standard has the lead, but Cornelio has his hands full with 3 rules, who's moving up on the outside. Cinderella El Chrome is down at the rail 3rd from Blessed Halo, front-loaded between horses and getting the shuffle. Then comes Love My Cotton, followed by Jewel Heist, 4 Better Than Glory Stars, and far back to Smart 6. Less than 5/16 to go. Velasquez lets out a notch, and 3 rules takes charge. 3 rules leads it by a 1.5 lengths. Blessed Halo is 2nd. Awesome Standard and Cinderella El Chrome, followed by front-loaded and Jewel Heist as they turn for home in the Dr. Fager, and there goes 3 rules. He's past the furlong grounds, widening on a 4-length lead. Blessed Halo trying to hold on to 2nd, then front-loaded an Awesome Standard, but 3 rules is simply awesome. It's 3 rules, and Cornelio Velasquez wrapped up and 6 in front. Blessed Halo 2nd, front-loaded 3rd, Jewel Heist finished 4th in 109 and 2.
About a week shy, give or take, to the actual 3-year anniversary date of Three Rules, of course, winning that first leg of the 2016 Florida Sire Stakes. And as Ronnie and Jason rejoin all of you, wasn't that race and that blowout win a harbinger of things to come?
Yeah, he went on to sweep the 3 legs of the Florida Sire Stakes. Just never came back as a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Just thought he was going to be a monster at 3. He was so impressive in the Florida Sire Stakes. Just never, he was sort of an enigma. Never came back and really ran that great. But what a performance in the Dr. Fager right there.
He was so good. And we'll be pulling a number of past replays over the next few days. Try to get everybody pumped up, including ourselves. We're certainly excited. With 36 years worth of history in the Florida Sire Stakes, we do it all again with a 13-race card this coming Saturday, led, of course, by the Fager and the Desert Vixen, and those races will be drawn today. Anyway, race number 3 starts the Rainbow Six, Ronnie. We have about $360K in the carryover kitty. Not a real easy race to kick this thing off. I mean, you're only dealing with 6 low-level maiden claimers. There's not much for them. I'm curious who you use.
Well, I went 3 deep in there, and I used a Maccabim who's dropping to the bottom. They're going to put blinkers on the horse. That's a recent equipment change. Shorty and Jupy's Lightning in there. Really was confused with that. You mentioned RG is back and Seismic Jolt. I think those are the logical 2 in the 4th. Empire Power 6-5 on the morning line, but I used a couple of horses in there trying to get a little bit of a price. Tipsy Kitten, Summer Spice, right down the line, and in the last race, as you mentioned, the number 10, 1st and 3. If you're going to single somewhere, I think that's where you might do it.
I like him quite a bit. He just seems like he's been on a slowly, steady ascent and almost upward trajectory over his last couple for trainer David Fox, and ran pretty well last time out in a very salty Florida-bred optional claimer behind Ice-T, who looks like he's bound for stakes, and Squeeziatos for Terry Pompey. But this third race, a very important equipment change on the 3 Maccabim, who, watching this horse's debut, and I should have, had I known we were off the turf, I probably would have pulled this horse's race. Legit slow break, and I'll just say this, very green from the quarter pole home. This horse looked very inexperienced first time out.
Yeah, the old double trouble, and still managed to finish 4th, and that was in its $20,000 debut. They're being realistic, dropping him to the 10 level, putting the blinkers on. Looks like a major player in there.
Now, there's a firster in the race on the outside who I picked. In fact, the only first-time starter in the mix, the number 6, Jupy's Lightning. You've got a barn who maybe isn't really known. I don't think of Bobby DeBone. I think of being very good, claiming and being shrewd and moving up horses and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think of his barn just because he doesn't get that many, doesn't get a whole lot of opportunity with 2-year-old firsters, but a trainer that's 50% at the meet, you get a good rider in Sammy Camacho. And I mean, let's be honest here, Ronnie, the 6 can run it all for your typical maiden 10 level. This horse should be right in the thick of things.
Yeah, I backed off him. I'm good friends with Bobby, but when you I know him with first-time starters, and and I don't think he had that many 2-year-olds at all.
It's not his game, though. I hear you, for sure.
I backed off, and I went with the horse, that's putting the blinkers on, and I split him with the one-horse Shorty who's plumbing into the 10 level. Hit the board when facing better on both turf and dirt. Juan Alvarado, MSCL Jaramillo, talking about him. Thought maybe the drop will help that horse.
That's a big rider change, too. Back to Amisael in for the 10K for trainer Juan Alvarado. Just 8 today, so do keep in mind there is a bit of a change as far as our popular multi-race wagers are concerned, and with the Rainbow, the opening leg, that is, out of the way in the 3rd, we'll dive into the opening leg of Wednesday's Fast Main Track, late pick 5. Very, very short ticket here, using just $8 worth of 50-cent spreads, anchored by Kathy Mungin. I like her horse, Summer Spice, in the 6th, Ronnie. Unless somebody out of the blue really takes to the dirt, that horse's dirt form this year has been pretty darn nice, including a win against Charlie the Greek and Dizzy Gillespie back here in March.
Yeah, 3 starts in the Fast Main Track with 8 starts with 3 wins, so always runs well on the main track. Got that one in 2nd. I did go with Tipsy Kitten from the David Fox barn on top of that ticket.
I had picked that horse for turf. I called it audible with the surface switch, and obviously I am hoping, for the most part, the inside post, mainly the rail, are good throughout the afternoon in this late pick 5. 4th race, though, although Seismic Jolt is the number 1 and does go from the rail, he's got some questions to answer. First of all, RG is back, has run the best races out of anybody here, and I don't even think it's debatable. You've also got a horse, as we start, Ronnie, we'll just discuss Seismic Jolt. He's a little bit of an in and outer. It feels like he's kind of been all or nothing to this point. when he's been good and on, he's been very good. I'm curious to also see how far he wants to go because he's got to go a mile, obviously, on the dirt.
Well, he definitely does his best running on the dirt. They were actually going to try the turf this afternoon. He's stretching out to this one-turn mile. He felt the fire. That was in the carry back going 7/8 of a mile. He's a stakes winner on the dirt, albeit only sprinting. He gets you got to get this distance now. Being the son of Cantharis, breeding says he can get this distance.
Sure.
I don't see him as the speed pop in the field. I just don't see that.
I don't either, even though he's got to be used early because, you know, you would think with him going from the inside, if he doesn't make the lead, he may get hooked by the 7-speed Franco, who's got a whole different set of questions. This horse is a fighter, loves getting down and dirty in the trenches, and obviously has got a good amount of class. And I may have misspoke to an extent at the top of this race because this horse has put up a very solid resume. I look, though, his resume has been exclusive to turf and being stake-faced on the grass and all that stuff. Being a declaration of war, I'm taking a wait-and-see approach on the dirt. I love that they left him in and they're taking a shot, but he strikes me as a horse who's probably going to be way better and way faster on the grass.
Yeah, he's going to, but I think he might be the speed in here and go there.
Yep.
But Archie Back, I think, is the one to beat in here for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the allowance ranks after rallying to come within the neck of winning that $122,000, not surprising last time out. This horse had never won on the turf. Was 0 for 4, but now hit the board in all those 0 for 5, I should say, but with 4 seconds. He runs well on the fast track. He runs well on the wet track. I think this is his spot. I actually think he's a little bit better here on the dirt.
Yeah, it's funny. He's an exchange rate, and he's better on the dirt. And it might be close, but I'm with you. Up until now for Ronnie Spatz, dirt is his A-level surface. It is worth pointing out that race 2 back in the Thirsty Fish, which was off the turf, came up incredibly fast on Bayer. Don't forget the third-place horse, Jackson, had a nightmarish trip. I'm not saying he would have beat Archie is back, but it's certainly worth noting. Good trio of 3-year-olds that have done some pretty good things thus far this season, and they'll knock heads in race number 4. We can move on to the 5th, and going into this race, I'll tell you how good and smart this trainer Antonio Sano appear, jumping back in and claiming Empire Power. Now, this was a horse that began his career with Antonio. About 2 weeks into last season's championship season, Antonio lost this horse for $30,000, saw fit back late May to jump in and reclaim him for 12.5. And I mean, this is what that move back to Antonio's barn culminated in last time out, just a couple of weeks ago. This is more or less a window dressing replay, but you talk about a Chancelot kind of just dominating and just breaking everybody's hearts. I mean, this horse eviscerated this field back on July 18th, and Antonio brings him back not only with the short amount of time between starts, can't be claimed away today.
Yeah, and he's really consistent son of Bodemeister. You know, he's had the 19 races, 3 wins, 7 seconds, a third. So he's always always getting a check. He's going to make it 2 in a row. You just saw that performance there, and I think this is a good spot. He's 6-5 on the morning line, so I think he's the one to beat in there. But there is a couple other different ways you can go in there. I use Trapezoid in second, who's stretching out to the one-turn mile after shipping in from Churchill Downs. I thought this horse finished a useful 5th, going 3/4 of a mile against those 40 optional claimers. I heard that they were a little high on this horse, thinking he was going to run okay. Second on the trip, so we'll see how he runs for Elizabeth Dobles. Sammy Camacho added distance today. I don't know what kind of price you're going to get on this horse today, but I just thought Empire Power, the one to beat. Trapezoid, you might want to use it in your exacta.
And Elizabeth runs too, in fact, also sending out the 6 Bondetti. I mean, she has got both sides of the favorite, who's probably odds on in Empire Power. I mean, literally surrounded with Trapezoid and Bondetti. To me, the other main plot line, not so much Elizabeth running 2, it's does Acor just wire the field? I mean, that's his best game. He's been a little bit, at times, enigmatic as well. He's been very good at times, and other times you go, man, he got loose and he just quit.
If he gets the lead, and this right here, he wins. That's the way I see it. He can get brave if he's left alone on the front end. Now, he wasn't too good last time against those 40 optional claimers, so he's going to try and rebound, and I think in a good spot.
Yeah, no, solid race there on the dirt, even with Empire Power looming as a potential odds-on favorite there. Good field of horses on the main. Meanwhile, race number 6, we are down to a quartet, just a field of 4, led, of course, in the $16,000 3-and-up claimer, but I feel this is a race now led, and everything pivots in behind the number 1 Summer Spice, who first and foremost, I'm going to argue, is run the best and far better than any of these horses on the dirt. And he's also got a barn quietly doing good work, who I had mentioned over the weekend, and Kathy Mungin, who's got 3 wins here at the meet from only 13 starters and 5 wins over the last 90 days. So I like that this barn quietly seems to be doing good work.
Yeah, she's like 20% for the year, which, you know, Kathy's doing an excellent job in there. And this horse, you're absolutely right. As I mentioned when you showed your ticket, 8 starts with those 3 wins in 2 seconds on the fast main track. Runs well on the wet track, so it looks like the main track is good for this horse. But I did go with the 4 Tipsy Kitten. Going to try 1-turn mile on the dirt after following. I thought a well-meant second at the distance on the turf. That was a couple of starts back. Comes back, breaks slowly, takes an overland route. Is wide, going 7.5 on the grass. Sammy Camacho, David Fawkes to ride. I just think this horse is in a good spot class-wise. Now, got to prove he can do it on the dirt. That was my thought process.
The race is fine as far as who stayed in and running for 16. I see the Kitten's Joy out of a Woodman Dam and a horse that has run, 25 times, 24 of them on the turf. I'm going to sit this one out. You can be a little braver than me. I'll take the 1 Summer Spice. I'll be curious to see if Summer Spice is favored. I'm anxious to see how they bet this race between the 1 and the 4. And, of course, we've also got Maximum Securities' older half-brother and Prince Tito by Pioneer the Nile, who hasn't been in good form, trying to turn things around. Second off the claim for Lily Curtness. Let's move on to the 7th here. Scheduled dirt race coming up, and a number of pretty shrewd and sharp barns are in the mix with this 12-5 3-and-up claimer at a 1-turn mile and the start of our late double. And just looking at some of the recent form and the barns at the helm, you and I pretty much in the ballpark, the same ballpark, that is, with the 6 Bad Student, highly rated. In fact, we both picked this horse on top for Safi with that speed.
A 17-time winner, this horse. Tussles with these 12-5 condition claimers after facing, I thought, better with some success since the last time he crossed the wire first. That was at Saratoga last August. They read the conditions of this race perfectly. Safi, Edgar to top this 8-year-old war horse.
Who's going to make the lead. I mean, for all intents and purposes, drawing up the race, you may have a slight class edge on a horse, or at least a drop in class, put it that way, who's been tangling with Tougher. Great post, leading rider, and a horse that might just make the lead. Over the number 1, Courage and Honor, though, who should run a good race. And I did not like this horse 3-5 or otherwise in a 6-horse field last time. He ran far better than I had predicted going into that opener here on July 5th. Claimed off Rob Falcone Jr. by Gustavo Delgado.
We'll show you a little stat on the Gustavo Delgado. First after the claim, all levels on the dirt, straight out. He's 8 for 29, 28%, 55% in the money, 246 is the return of investment. So really nice numbers. You mentioned he was defeated, you know, as the 3-5 favorite. New claim, MSC Al Jaramillo, lots to like in here. Split them with Bo Tracy's. You like, I see his smile.
I love Gustavo. He has just got that sort of Venezuelan, South Florida, Bob Baffert vibe every step of the way. Just one cool cat.
You should have seen the smile on his face when he's looking at him with those sunglasses.
The shades, you know, the slight breeze blowing through his hair. I mean, he really is almost the Venezuelan Bob Baffert. And, yeah, no, Gustavo's just great.
We'll give a little love to the 4 Bo Trace, who moved to the Jose D'Angelo barn after the claim, posted its 2nd consecutive victory when he defeated 12-5 condition claimers. Boy, did he need to do everything. He won it by a hard-fought neck. A red-hot apprentice. Christian Torres in there. We got the logical 4 in the race.
Definitely. Here's race 8. We'll wrap things up. First finish line, by the way, as we cap the card this special Wednesday. In fact, going a mile and a 16th on the main, off the turf naturally. Florida breds in this allowance optional claiming race. We go with 6. Busy day for trainer David Fawkes, who's got that Kitten's Joy horse that you like, Tipsy Kitten. He's also got that Cantharos horse for E5 a bit earlier in the day against RG is back. And let's hope the day for him ends in the winner's circle with the 10 first and 3, who to me, this is just like classic Fawkes horsemanship. This horse just takes a step with each race he's run. obviously that race that he's coming out of, that field, I mean, that field was loaded for the level.
Yeah, and first and 3 was entered for the main track. He's stretching out to the mile in the 16th. He rallied to finish third as those horses. 3 next out winners, 1 Iced Tea, 1 Squeezadios, and going 7/8 of a mile. Boy, he looks awful good with the move to the main track. I got Blasphemy in second. I thought this one, moving to the Bobby Hess Jr. barn after the claim, rallied to finish third. I was on the dirt. It was 16 claimers going to 1-turn mile. Here's a barn I respect, so I threw that one in second.
No, the horses Bob has left, and obviously the staff that he has basically running the show at Gulfstream. I think they've done a really nice job over the last couple of months. Rob Falcone, meanwhile, I know he's got the bulk of his stable in Saratoga Springs, but do keep in mind Max KO on the rail is a Florida bred. He's a better turf horse. I won't argue that or against that. 6 on the dirt in hindsight, not his game. I think he's better with a little more real estate, and he will get that. Unfortunately, 1st and 3 drew in and should be very tough in the nightcap. Ronnie and I with you all day long for this special 8 race Wednesday. We'll take a little time out on Gulfstream today. Track announcer Pete Aiello up next with those scratches and changes.
The best chance for success begins with a solid foundation. At Hardacre Farm, early personal one-on-one care starts the journey to becoming a champion. Bred to leading stallions, our mares represent the highest standards. Hardacre Farm's signature in the breeding industry. Based in Ocala, Florida, breeder and owner Amy Tarrant has inspired excellence throughout her entire career. In your quest for success, start with Hardacre Farm, breeding the champions of tomorrow.